Holding my breath and I'm ready to go. I'm falling right in and I'm ready to go. I found what I want and I know that we're on top, so I'll tap in and I'm ready to walk.
Broadcasting from Central Kentucky, the headquarters of the Dr. My Budget podcast, where we discuss how to grow your personal wealth without having a major impact on your current lifestyle. Here is your host, Dr. Dan, the Finance Man.
Welcome, everyone. Today is Monday, May the 15th. I'm your host, Dr. Dan, the Finance Man, and today's episode is sponsored by Nexa Mortgage, NMLS ID 2296654. If you're thinking about buying or selling a home, we have a team of professionals across the country that are here to service you. To learn more, to discuss your situation in private, you can always reach out to me at drdan@drmybudget.com, and you can join us by call or text at 859-429-0552, and we'll answer your questions and comments. So let's dive in. The Monarch Group is a team of experienced licensed real estate agents serving the Louisville, LaGrange, and Crestwood metro areas here in Kentucky. Her agents have a proven track record of getting results quickly and are a direct line of communication at all times. Elizabeth is also the broker of eXp Realty in Kentucky, and I'm super excited to have her on the show today. Please welcome Miss Elizabeth Monarch. How are you doing?
Well, Daniel, I am doing great, and thank you so much for the opportunity. As you see, in real estate, there's never a dull moment. I wish I could say I'm behind my computer, but I am on the go, just working, just excited to be able to have the opportunity to be on your podcast today. So thank you so much.
Well, you are very welcome. So tell everyone about yourself.
Absolutely. Well, I'll give you the short version. How about that?
Okay.
So currently, yes, you are correct. I'm the current designated managing broker for eXp Realty, which I absolutely love. And I feel like I have the opportunity to be able to help agents every single day with their business and to be able to help them grow their business, and also just to figure out ways that they can be more efficient in terms of their budget and every aspect of their business. So we currently have 570 agents in the state of Kentucky. So just excited to be able to have that opportunity. In addition to that, also have a real estate team. There's 8 of us. And my husband and I also run and own a real estate auction company. So there is never, honestly, a dull moment in our life. In addition to that, as my daddy would say, how much do you get paid for this? I'm currently the state president for the Kentucky Realtors Association. So we have approximately 13,000 members across the Commonwealth that I have the opportunity to represent this year. This is only the 9th time in 100 years that they've had a female state president. So excited about that opportunity also, Daniel.
All right. Congratulations. Sounds like
Thank
you've got
you.
just when do you have time to do anything else?
Well, I will tell you, it has been a wild 5 months. There is no question about that. And, Daniel, as you know, with the way the market is, with the housing affordability, the lack of supply, inflation, rates, it has been a very challenging 5 months just in terms of what I have seen in the real estate market here in the Louisville area and also throughout the state. So there is just absolutely, when I say there's never been a dull moment, there really hasn't.
Wow. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But I want to, what caused you to get involved in real estate?
Well, that's a great question. Honestly, I tell people I grew up in the real estate and auction business. I swore when I was growing up that I would never be a teacher and I would never go into the real estate industry. As a young girl, I would have to get up every Saturday morning around 4 a.m. Central Time and go to my father's auctions. And I would have to help carry out all the items because he would be auctioning the personal property and the real estate. And I swore I would never, ever do this. And here I am. I got my undergraduate at Transylvania University, which is a private school in Lexington, Kentucky. majored in business and economics with an emphasis in finance, moved to Louisville because my brother was in medical school, and enrolled and went to Bellarmine University, got my MBA. At that point in time, I was already an auctioneer. My dad said, "Why don't you get your real estate license?" And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to get my real estate license. And then after I finish my MBA, I'm going to get a real job. And I will tell you, over the course of 2.5 years, I started doing real estate auctions, started networking, building my business through, got involved in junior league, got involved just with the current company that I was with. And I looked up 3 years later and I thought, man, I really love this. And as you know, I get to help a lot of agents get into the industry. And that's typically one of my first questions is why do you want to do real estate? And when people ask me back then, I'll never forget the broker at that time said, "Elizabeth, why do you want to get into real estate?" And I said, "Because I want to be the best and I want to help as many people as possible." So he slightly laughed at me. And as I started helping people, they were like, "Man, Elizabeth, you were just so great." And I was like, "Oh, I love that feeling. I want to help more and I want to help more." And I looked up and, Daniel, as I have tried to help a lot of agents over the last many years, eight to 10 years, because I believe that I took the long way. I'm trying to help people get there a lot faster than it took me because I didn't feel like I had a ton of support and a ton of direction on, how to build my business. Because really, for the first 10 years, I was just going out and selling real estate. Never thought about my real estate career as a business. And I tell you, I just kept selling and selling and selling and moved up the ranks at my former company. And I said, wow, I've got a business and I love what I do. Long story. That took like 5 minutes.
No, that is great. I'm sure our listeners are loving hearing about all of this stuff. So tell the listeners, what are some of the current projects you've got going on in your business?
Well, I will tell you, I believe that in no matter what type of market that we are in, this is my fourth shifting market. I explain to a lot of our agents and a lot of my clients that I truly believe we are in what I like to call a price discovery market, where, prices are still going up in certain areas. There's a lull. And I believe in every market there's opportunities. And when I say opportunities, when people say, "Oh, Elizabeth, my business is kind of slowing down. I'm not from this area." I explain to them, you know what? I was not born and raised in Louisville, Kentucky, but I just got in there, rolled up my sleeves, worked really hard. And I explain to people that I believe if you do what you say you're going to do, you show up, you return calls, and you give it your best every single day, you're going to be successful in the real estate industry. So right now, my husband and I have been quite busy with our auction business, which is not unusual because typically when the markets start moving, there's a lot of opportunities that get created. I truly believe so many people want to compare right now to 2008, but everything that I'm seeing in terms of the short sales and foreclosures, you're still seeing some, but regardless of what's going on with the regional banks and that side of the industry, I still really feel like we are not going to see the market. The market's going to change. It already has changed. However, what's so unique, Daniel, is we're still seeing multiple offers in certain areas. We're still seeing our clients get good prices. What we are seeing right now is trying to explain to sellers, get off the fence. Now's still a good time to sell. And there still is a lot of great opportunities for homes that they want to buy. So I ventured in, I've had a couple situations where we've been involved in selling some hotels. And we're seeing that just because of the short-term financing. A lot of people took advantage of that years ago. We're on adjustable rates. A lot of banks are coming back around saying, okay, either you got to refinance or you have to sell. So I'm seeing some opportunities in that arena. Also with commercial properties and farmland, that is our specialty in the auction business, where we come in and we will take, we just recently did almost 400 acres. We subdivided them into multiple tracts, offered it, and we do a lot of work with agents where we will help a lot of agents who have clients and we cooperate with them. So we're seeing a lot of transfer of wealth in that area still with the states. So I think my whole point is if a real estate agent or a realtor is listening to this, there is still a lot of opportunity in this type of market. I mean, back in the day, I used to call on a lot of for sale by owners. I called on a lot of expireds. Over the last 5 years, we haven't really seen that because things have sold over list price, sold in 24 hours. So we're really, I think from the standpoint of the business, we're just getting back to the basics, following up with our clients. I will say this, I just got done showing a small condo. This is the second past client of mine whose child is buying a home. So we're seeing a lot of the millennials, that generation where their parents are going to be the bank and they want to help their children buy that first piece of property. So I think, I gave you a plethora of just opportunities that I'm seeing right now across the board in terms of just being a realtor and the opportunities as an auctioneer.
Okay. I want to ask a follow-up question because you mentioned that you are in your fourth shifting market right now. So how have things changed? Because we can both agree that technology is ever evolving the real estate industry. So
Yes.
How has the real estate industry changed from like when you first got into it to where it's at now?
Well, I will say definitely the technology side. When I was giggling because my whole team, we were all in a car on Friday and we were talking about the navigation in cars and on phones. And I can remember back in 2002, you had those maps where you were pulling out a map to go show a home. And it's like, oh, I don't want to make the wrong turn because then maybe they might not know where they may not think that I know where I'm going. And just the technology in that aspect where, if people have a phone, people can search for homes. I still truly believe that, yes, technology has moved the industry in that aspect, but you and I both know it still goes back to the relationship. It is all about the relationship. And even if that client starts searching online, it's about being able to have the skill set to pick up the phone and start the rapport with that person on the other line and building that trust and loyalty. And it's about that relationship in the industry. I believe, I remember in 16 and 17 and then in 18 watching the market just absolutely, it was like, whoa, what just happened? 10 years later from the banking crisis, prices started going back up again. And from just all of the short sales and foreclosure work to moving into 2011, 12, and 13, when we had a lot of the first-time home buyer tax credits, where they were trying to incentivize people. And then by the time they got to the fourth round, they were just giving them the money and they just had to stay in the house for so many years. It's just unusual. It's just different in terms of then rates, the third shifting market rates were at 3%. And just like I'm sure you saw, a lot of our past clients were making lateral moves. They weren't really moving up in house, but they were making lateral moves because they wanted to be in different school districts. And that was the time to take advantage of the rising prices and be able to make that lateral move to now where we are. And it's just like I was telling my past client's daughter who just graduated from college. And, she has yet to build credit, but has the capability. Her parents, she's very fortunate. Her parents can be the bank and we're going to, have an attorney draw up the mortgage and amortize it out. And it's like, I told her, I said, now look, you have to understand if you don't make that payment, regardless, even though they're your parents, they can kick you out. They can foreclose on you. And I think, seeing those opportunities arise in the market, I think we're going to continue to see more. And even though rates, 30-year rate, my one of my mortgage people quoted me on Friday at 6.1%. I mean, Daniel, that's still great. However, I will say this. What is also interesting is I'm seeing a lot of multifamilies come onto the market. I keep abreast of that side of the commercial industry. A lot more people are trying to take advantage of that 1031 tax exchange, and they're trying to sell those multifamilies, possibly buy the larger commercial properties. So it'll be interesting to see what the next 5 years, how the market basically just, what's going to happen in that arena. Because I know a lot of younger people are wanting to buy those multifamilies because they have the energy. I mean, Daniel, I don't know about you, but I'm not getting any younger, and those young people have that energy, and they're like, oh, you know what? I'll deal with tenants, I'll deal with evictions, I'll deal with leaky roofs, and I think people over time, after they depreciate the properties, they're like, you know what? I want to start doing something else with my money. So we're seeing a lot of that come onto the market, especially here in our area in Kentucky.
You mentioned a 1031 exchange. For those that don't know what a 1031 exchange is, can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. That's an opportunity for our clients who own rental properties, multifamily, commercial, any type of income producing property, to be able to sell that property and within so many days identify another income producing property where they can avoid paying the capital gains on that investment. And I will tell you, Daniel, it has helped many of my clients over the years save hundreds of thousands of dollars in capital gains taxes that they've been able to just roll that into another income producing property. And I've been involved in reverse build outs where people have sold their family farm. And I'm telling you, I mean, these were farms that were bought in the 1980s for like $20,000, and they're now selling them for, $2 million. And you talk about, that's a lot of taxes to pay in capital gains. And what these families have done is they've gotten very smart. I call it you got to create a dream team. You got to have a good CPA. You got to have a good lender. You got to have a good, intermediary that can hold the money, and a really good realtor that can be able to help guide you through that. So I really do foresee that over the next 5 years, we're going to continue to see a lot of that, and especially people that own rental properties out west. Daniel, we live in Kentucky where housing affordability is great. And with all of our EV plants coming in Glendale, Bowling Green, they project in the Elizabethtown area that they're going to need an average of 25,000 housing units over the next 5 years. You're seeing a lot of multifamilies, a lot of people from up north, out west, that are pouring money into Kentucky. And with our EV plants, the rise in the distillery industry in Kentucky, we are, as I would say, as the state president, we are in a really good position for our economic development. And I kind of went sideways, but that's an overview of what a 1031 tax exchange is.
Okay, great. And a lot of great information that has been put out just on that last statement alone. So you mentioned that a lot of people are moving from out west because obviously, housing is more affordable here in like the greater Kentucky area. So I know that here in central Kentucky, inventory is low. And just as it's probably that way in most of the country from other agents that I've spoken with. So what should potential buyers and sellers know about the market that you service?
Well, I think that's across the board. I just recently returned from Washington, D.C. We went and we met with several of our state legislators, Rand Paul, Mitch McConnell, James Comer. And really that's, talk about just specific in central Kentucky, also in the Louisville and metro area. We have 1.5 months worth of supply, where in a healthy market, on average, we could have anywhere from, 8 to 9,000 properties on the market. And right now, we have what, maybe 2,500. So, if you are a buyer, though, here's what I do believe, because the market is, and I don't want to say wonky because it's really not, but a lot of buyers are starting to get off the fence because, back a year ago, they were in multiple offers and they just said, you know what, I've tried this 5 times and I've lost every time. I'm just going to sit tight, renew my lease, or I'm going to stay where I am and I'm going to wait a year. So we're starting to see a lot of buyers get off the fence. And this is what I want to tell buyers is be open-minded, because you may end up finding a home that you love, and that seller may actually have to do what we like to call a reverse contingency, where that seller may say to you as a buyer, look, I want to sell my home to you at this price, but you need to give me 30 days to go out and find a home that I want to love and that I want to buy. And we have actually seen a lot of that, Daniel, in our market, where sellers are like, look, I want to take advantage of this. I want to get my house under contract, but the buyer's going to have to understand I need 30 to 60 days to go out either to Elizabethtown or to Bullitt County or to Bowling Green or to Lexington and find a home, but I don't want to be completely rushed. But now that I've got my house under contract, because I need the proceeds from this sale to buy something else, it allows them to go and do that. So what we're telling our buyers is be patient, because if that opportunity, if that comes up, you're going to have to be agreeable with. And this whole idea of you're going to be moved in within 30 days, we're really starting to try to manage our buyers' expectations. And then what we're telling our sellers that are like, you know what, I don't want to put my house on the market because I don't have a place to go. We're like, look, here is an option for you. Let's start looking, and we get a game plan and put your house on the market, because you and I both know, even in this market, it's hard to have a sale and a closing contingency on a home. But if our seller has their house under contract, it's going to be a lot easier for them to go buy something and tell that seller, look, it's just contingent upon the closing. So that's really the conversation that we're having right now with our buyers and our sellers to get our sellers off the fence.
Very cool. Really appreciate that answer. So, what is the one thing that sets you apart from all the other agents in the area?
Well, Daniel, that's a hard question to say, because I belong to all the MLSs and every board in the state of Kentucky but one. And, I believe that there are a lot of fantastic realtors in the state of Kentucky. And I believe if there is a consumer listening to this, there is no question that they should be hiring a realtor. You will get more money for your home. It will be less of a headache, and it will be worth every single dollar that realtor for their services. For me, what I believe has always set myself apart from anyone and in this industry is, my attitude. I work very, very hard. I will say, I think I know what I'm doing. I'm very knowledgeable. I'm really believe in education, and I believe in making sure that I understand contracts. I'm not an attorney, but I feel like I have a dream team that if I've got a client in an unusual zoning situation, land situation, survey situation, that I can pick up the phone and I have those contacts that would drop everything and say, Elizabeth, this is how you need to handle that. What I do believe is back in the day 21 years ago, when I first got in this business, I got up every day, Daniel. I wore a suit. I told people I did what I said I was going to do. And over time, I used to say experience was overrated. Now, after 21 years, I say experience is everything, because when somebody is selling their largest asset, or their child is getting ready to buy one of their largest assets, I believe that they want somebody that knows what they're doing. So obviously, as the state president for 2023, I believe that everyone should use a realtor. Of course, I think I'm one of many that are great in the state of Kentucky, and I just have the opportunity to represent a lot of realtors in our industry.
That is awesome. So Elizabeth, I want to thank you so much for being on the show today. If you all have enjoyed this information, drop a like, hit the subscribe button, put a comment below. And Elizabeth, if people want to get in touch with you, how do they do that? What's the best way?
The best way is to visit my website at monarchgroup.homes, or you can call me on my cell at 502-551-1286. That's 502-551-1286. And Daniel, if they go and Google Elizabeth Monarch, they'll be able to find me. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, you name it. We're on all the social medias. So.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Elizabeth, for agreeing to be on the show. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And you have a great rest of the day. For those that are still here, appreciate you staying with us. And don't forget to join us next week, where we'll be traveling out to Austin, Texas, and the Houston market area, talking about what's going on out there. So everybody be safe, and we'll catch you next time around.
Bye.
Holding my breath and I'm ready to go. I'm falling right in and I'm ready to go. I found